We ready? Feedback. Okay. Good morning. Good morning, Margaret. It's good to see you. All right, I'm gonna have to play an old professor trick, and if you are listening to me, clap your hands once. And if you are wondering why they clap their hands, clap your hands twice. All right. So I learned in a class of 400 not to attempt on day one to talk over the class. And that was our little trick. Hey, good morning and welcome. I want to start off by welcoming those that are in the room and those that are with us online. This is live streaming. We wanted to make sure, do I need to kill one of these mics? Okay. We wanted to make sure that our entire community had the ability to hear and to be heard today. So just to those of you that are watching online, welcome. Let me start off with what we're up to, then let me talk about why it matters, and then let me talk about just very briefly how we're going to do it today. So what we are up to is we are announcing a new position at the cabinet level, at the vice president level, for diversity and inclusion. And today, this meeting is really to help the search committee, and I'll ask them to identify themselves in a moment, really help the search committee address three questions, and I'll get to those. But what we are doing is creating a new division, a new cabinet level position for diversity, inclusion, and equity. Let me talk a little bit about why it matters. I believe, that our strength as an institution comes from diverse perspectives and diverse lived experiences. I also believe that we are our best as a community when every person is at their best and fully who they are and can bring who they are to work and not have to put it under a basket somewhere. Diversity and inclusion is incredibly important right now at our university because of who we have become. We are rapidly moving toward a majority-minority institution. This year we are 47% comprised of people who are normally underrepresented in institutions like ours. 47%. We're 26% Hispanic, and we will be designated as a Hispanic serving institution at the turn of the new year, which will make us officially a minority serving institution. Yep. We're number 2 in the United States in numbers of degrees awarded to people from underrepresented groups in higher education, which means, just from the nerd in me, let me tell you what that means. We're number 4 in African American degrees awarded. And just think about all the historically black colleges and universities that exist in this country. We're number 4 in Hispanic degrees awarded, and we are just reaching Hispanic serving institution status. Think about all those that existed before us. But the kind of diversity I just talked about are federal classifications, and they don't include a number of the perspectives and experiences of the people in this room. So we hope to hear from you. Now, here's the point that I really wanted to make, and I'm going to say it twice. All those numbers that I just gave you, I would claim that UCF is now a model of diversity in higher education. And here's what I want to say carefully and slowly. And what we would like to become is a model of inclusion and equity as well. We're a model of diversity. We want to become a model of inclusion and equity. And that's what this session today is about. So let me do some recognitions. What I want to do is recognize the search committee. If you are here, would you please raise your hands? Many of you on the panel. Great. Thank you very much. This committee is here to listen very carefully. They have not shaped the position description for this position. By listening, they will be charged with shaping a position description that communicates to the potential candidates what it is that we are really looking for. So let me just jump to that. The three questions that I hope we address today are, number one, in a very straightforward point of perspective, where are we? How would we characterize our status currently? Because we have to be real, we have to be authentic. Very importantly, and what do we want to be? Where do we want to go? What does the picture of the future look like that we are striving toward? And then thirdly, proximally, or for the near term, then what kind of leadership attributes, what kind of experiences does it take, are we searching for in order to get us from where we are to where we'd like to be? And with that, what I'd like to do is thank the other sponsors, the other co-hosts of this event, and that's the Student Government Association. Thank you very much, Student Government. The USPS Staff Council. Thank you, USPS. And the Faculty Senate. So thank you, Faculty Senate. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Sandoval, and I should have also recognized Malcolm Butler as the co-chair. Jen and Malcolm are co-chairing the search committee. I'd like to recognize Jen as the host of today's session.
Thank you, President Whittaker. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, I like that. Such enthusiasm. This is wonderful. I'm so thrilled to see this room packed, standing room only. So I'm sorry that some of you are standing, but it does make me feel really happy because I think this really demonstrates that as a community, we care about these issues deeply, and we are looking at what we're doing next as a university. So this morning, I'm going to be brief here because we really do want to have a conversation about this. And as a communication professor, something I think we don't talk enough about in communication is listening, right? That this is actually a really big part of what we need to do in order to move forward. This is a moment in UCF's future that we're making this visible as a strategic goal, and that's really important because, as President Whittaker said, we are diverse in lots of important ways, and lots of ways that are really personal to me. But we also have some work yet to do, and we have to bring these conversations into the public sphere, which is what we're doing right now. Many of you have participated in lots of chats, lots of conversations in our own groups, in different spaces, even in Millikan, but to really open this up. And I know this is being streamed in some classrooms right now, where faculty are using this as an opportunity to talk about what this looks like here, and I think that that's a wonderful thing. So we're going to have this really open conversation. We have a wonderful group of people here who are dedicated to this work in various ways on campus, some members of the search committee, and some who are doing the important work of supporting students, staff, and faculty in equity and inclusion efforts. We want to hear from you. It's important to get this participation as we start to craft the vision for this new VP role. And sometimes these conversations are challenging, right? They move us into a space of discomfort, but that's really where growth starts to happen. So I hope that you'll join me in this hard work and in this heart work so that we can actually get to where we need to go, as President Whittaker talked about. So I want to quickly introduce this great panel of committed people here at UCF so that you know who's here and who's listening. So we do have Dr. Adam Mayer, Director of Inclusive Education Services and Student Accessibility Services. You'll know all of these people have multiple titles because they're doing a lot of work, as most of us are here on campus. We also have Dr. Candace Bridge, Assistant Professor of Chemistry and Forensic Science, and I believe the incoming President of the Black Faculty and Staff Association. We have Dr. Cynthia Muniz, the Assistant Director of Hispanic Initiatives in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, also our La FASA President and leader. We have David Benjamin, Head of Special Collections and University Archives, the Interim President. I think you've surpassed interim status in terms of how long you've been doing this, for Pride Faculty and Staff Association. We have Dr. Malcolm Butler, Professor of Science Education in the College of Community Innovation and Education, who will be co-chairing the search for the VP. And we have Ashley Stewart from the Student Government Association, who's the Director of Empathy and Equity for SGA. So we're gonna start with that big, broad question about where we are right now at UCF and take a really honest and authentic, reflective look at that, and I'm going to open it up to the panel first. And then you'll see there are microphones throughout the room. There's also a Qualtrics forum available for those of you who are watching online. We want to make sure that we can get feedback from everyone who has thoughts and something to say about this today. So anyone from our panel want to start reflecting on where we are at UCF right now in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Nope. Oh, there we go. Hi. Good morning, all. How are you? Good morning. All right. So one of the things that I want to say that really became a forefront to me working at UCF as a faculty member is the amount of equity that we are creating for our, I don't know if the right word is disability students. Is that okay?
Yeah, disabled students, yeah.
Okay, yes. So I teach a lot of online courses, and we get a lot of training on how to make our online courses equitable across the field. And that was really eye-opening for me because I've taught elsewhere, but I've never received that training until I got here. So I think that's a good plus. Oh, Jesus. Oh. I don't know how to turn it off.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. So as President Whittaker mentioned, there are lots of reasons why we are excited as we move forward on our journey, and one of those reasons is our new identity as a Hispanic serving institution. So along with that critical mass of Latino students comes so many opportunities. Funding opportunities that will lend themselves to our institutional capacity building. And so where we are looking to serve this critical mass of Latino students on our campus, we're looking also for that wonderful opportunity and how these resources, these additional resources that were not available to us before, now can make a difference in the lives of all of our UCF Knights. So that is definitely something that we have continued to have lots of conversations about. We are near in that process leading. I serve as the HSI lead on our campus, and so we do have a HSI task force that comes together. We have about 50 people who serve on that task force, made up of faculty, staff, and students, and looking at what does our path look like for UCF as a Hispanic serving institution. You also may have heard that we are in the countdown to downtown, right? And so, of course, we're having critical conversations about the community of Paramore and how we serve the community of Paramore. So as a Hispanic serving institution that we are very proud to be, as a minority serving institution that we are very proud to be, our emphasis on this campus is serving. And so the critical lessons that we learn through this process of being a Hispanic serving institution will then translate into how we serve all of our communities, because we are all together UCF Knights, and the theme for Hispanic Heritage Month is Unidad, unity. Together we serve. So thank you for that.
So good morning, everyone. I think a little bit about my time here at UCF over the last 6 years, and think about some of my experiences at previous institutions where I've been privileged to work. And one of the things that stands out to me is when we do our work, when we were thinking about diversity, the idea is that we are including everyone at the table. And so if you look at any definition of diversity, the word inclusion or some iteration of it is already there. It's only lately that we've decided to make inclusion its own standing word. But the reality is, inclusive in the word diversity is the idea of being inclusive. And so I think at UCF, we've been trying to model the idea that inherent in our idea of bringing multiple voices to the table, we're talking about being inclusive. Do we have work to do? Absolutely. That's why we have standing room only here today, and in classrooms. But certainly I think we are setting ourselves up, as President Whittaker said, not only as a model for diversity, but also aspiring to be a model for inclusion and equity as well. And so I am privileged, honored, and humbled to be a part of this important work, and know that we are definitely here to listen to the many voices that are here and include them in the conversation as we move forward to, one, create a conversation about what kind of person with what kinds of experiences should be in this role, and then how can we support that person as a community to be effective and successful so that we can achieve what it is we aspire to be as a university.
And I do want to just point out that we do want to hear from you as well about this, what you think UCF looks like right now in terms of our diversity, equity, inclusion efforts, and what I like to say, whether or not we're a place of true belonging, right? So we do have mics on the sides of the rooms. If you have a question at any time or a comment, please feel free to get over to the mics, and we'll make sure to address participants and attendees as well. Yes.
Viewers. So we've already received a couple online viewer questions. One of them is, this is from Catherine, how are we training faculty and staff to better serve diverse students and each other? This could be language sensitivity and what inclusion actually means. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, from watching online. So the question is focusing on how we're training faculty and staff to work with diverse students. And I'm sure there's lots of ways that that looks differently across departments and colleges. I'll open it to the panel first.
So again, good morning, and I'll answer that question with a thought. I'm here to represent disabled students on campus and faculty and staff with disabilities as well. And which is, the fact that I'm on this panel says a lot about the institution, because a lot of times we don't think about disability as an aspect of diversity. So I'm really proud that UCF recognizes this layer of it. And I will get back to that question real quick, but just a quick thought that I want to point out, and I apologize, some of you have heard this before in presentations I've done. But if you imagine an individual who uses a wheelchair who approaches a building, and that building has no ground level entry, so the only way to get into a door in that building is through steps to get up into the only door to get into that building. So the person who uses the wheelchair can't get there. Is it that person's fault that he or she cannot enter the building, or has society let that person down with how the building has been designed? And I'm seeing a lot of head nods on the second one, and that's really the work of what our office is trying to do. Is the barriers for people with disabilities really don't come from within, and unfortunately our society sees the individual with the disability as being the problem, but the true barriers really come with how we fail to design those metaphorical ramps in different places around campus through our policies, procedures, et cetera. So in our work with faculty, we do have faculty. If you're going to teach an online class, you have to go through courses, and we're very proud of the work that CDL, the Center for Distributed Learning, has done to ensure that faculty know about accessible practices for online classes. And we're doing a lot of work as well to reach out to faculty, because in many ways it's those course policies that create a lot of barriers for the students in terms of the amount of time for exams or attendance policies, et cetera. So how can we make those more flexible to recognize some of the diverse needs of students with disabilities?
So our Office of Diversity and Inclusion, we do participate in the Summer Faculty Development Conference that is put on by our Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning. There is a diversity track over the summer that faculty are welcomed and encouraged to participate in. And that is led by Barbara Thompson in our office, as well as Rachel Lucy Hitt. And so there are also consultations that you can always reach out to our office if you're wanting to have certain specific conversations, or you identify specific needs in your department that you would like to have a conversation with our colleagues in diversity and inclusion. We always avail ourselves to have those conversations. As it relates to the HSI lens, then I also lead consultations on that front, but please utilize the talent, the tremendous talent that we have in the Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
So I would just like to mention, I was not aware that we had that track. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Okay, I wasn't aware that we had that track. And honestly, when that question came from the audience member, I was sitting here and I was like, that is something that all faculty members need, is to be able to open yourself up to other cultures, because clearly there's not one culture that lives at this university or lives in this, we call it city. So I think it should be something that is more upfront, that should be made available on a yearly basis, and not just to those who seek out you know, just kind of like the training we get to do the disability services and equity services. We should also make ourselves available to other cultures, being sensitive to other people's concerns, issues in the daily life that they live in. I think that should be something that should be out front.
Good morning. There is safe zone training available on campus for LGBTQ+, to learn about LGBTQ+ students and our services. I would also say that I think this is really important because I think it's very important for members of our communities to have allies across campus so that people understand my experiences and I understand their experiences. And if I've not experienced what other people have had, when I hear it, when I talk to people, when I learn about these things, I think it helps broaden my understanding of others. And I think that's really important to really realize that we have the potential to have a huge campus of allies for whatever, LGBTQ+, people of color, people with disabilities, whatever. We should be advocating for each other, and we should really be bringing the entire campus in as part of our allies. And I think through classes like this, training, things like that, I think that is one way to get at that.
Okay. Hello. Although SGA is not faculty or staff, we do want to get involved in the opportunities that we can get training from, especially like ODI. One of Josh and Jaz's platform points was that we want to go to bi-weekly meetings where we're meeting all the different RSOs and understanding every single student perspective that is here at UCF. Also, we put a heavy focus on collaborating with different departments and building those partnerships like MSc and LGBTQ+ services.
Thank you. And I think, lots of people are here in the audience who also have expertise and are running offices that do these things. I see Cody. I'm going to, people I know, I'm so sorry that you're going to get called out by me, but that's the pain of being my friend. So I think that if we also, anybody in the audience who can speak to some of these things, of course, that's incredibly valuable. I think as a faculty member, my instructional designer really helped me to think ahead of online classes instead of only responding to student accommodation and needs, but to actually be working on my classes before I ever get a request for accommodation to make sure that that's always a part of the way that we present our work in class and online. Inclusive language is a really important part of what we do in communication. We often make the joke, if only there was an entire school or department on campus that thought about how to more effectively communicate, particularly across difference and difficulty, and we do. And so we are always having those conversations as well. So there's lots of trainings, and you also have lots of colleagues on campus who can talk to you about that, right? So I'll give you the Dr. Sandoval pro tip of the day. You can just say, hey everyone, or y'all, we're in the South, that's great, right? To be really inclusive when you greet a room of people instead of hey guys or things that are masculine generic language. That's as academic as I'll get. All right.
Dr. Sandoval, on the point of inclusive language, I'd like to say a few words in Spanish. Para los que están aquí, si hablan español, si se expresan mejor en español y quieren hacer una pregunta en español, yo estoy aquí para servirte. También tenemos facultad aquí que también hablan español y si quieres comunicar algún mensaje para la administración de la universidad, estamos aquí para apoyarte en eso. Okay? Muchas gracias. I'm availing myself in Spanish to translate if needed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Yes. Hi, so my name is Angelo, and I wrote down some thoughts that I've worked with and talked with some students, and I know it's kind of going to be a lot, but I really just want to be able to give maybe a student voice about a perspective that we have, all right? So I thank you, Dr. Whittaker, for empowering me on Tuesday to feel comfortable to speak about this today. Throughout my time here at UCF, I have constantly been told this one phrase about the President's Leadership Council. This council represents the best and brightest our university has to offer. And I think this is an interesting phrase to put upon a group of 35 students. I'm glad that when you check the PLC website now, these phrases and ideals are non-existent. I worry, though, that this mentality is still lingering among the minds of the people around me. I am a firm believer that representation matters. Just look at the effects of movies like Black Panther and even now Crazy Rich Asians. There's a sense of empowerment, validation for the cultures that are different than the majority. So when you say the President's Leadership Council consists of the best and brightest students, how do you think Black Americans feel when they see there's only one Black male on the council? How do you think Asian Pacific Americans feel when there's only one Filipino male on the council? Are you telling me that out of 67,000 students, you can only find one Black male to be a part of the best and brightest? One Asian Pacific American? I am tired of being the token. I'm tired of having to sit in an interview with 6 people who are white with the hope that the one African American is going to understand me. We are tired of being the token. I share with you this frustration with the hope that you all reconsider the way that you value and see leadership in the students at this university. Thinking about my cultural background, it is absolutely frustrating to be around a group of people where there is a greater sense of competitiveness than support. It is absolutely frustrating to be around a group of people who believe that shaming others for making mistakes or doing the wrong thing is what accountability means. And when I advocate to change this culture and challenge it, and I'm the only one speaking out, I get tired, stressed, and angry, and I don't want to try anymore. There is anxiety, fatigue, and stress when you have to represent a culture of people. And I'm sick and tired of it, and I want change, and I don't think I'm the only person that believes this. Dr. Whittaker, you asked the President's Leadership Council, how do we bridge tradition with innovation? I don't think that's the question to be asked. Why do we need to bridge tradition when it's inefficient and incredible? I wonder, what is UCF's relationship with tradition and innovation? This university is not bound by tradition. This university is bound by innovation. UCF's tradition is innovation. We break the boundaries, we push the barriers, and we empower our communities to go beyond tradition and think differently. The strength of our university doesn't come from its pure diversity. Our strengths lie in how we include and empower the community of students that make up this university. And I share this thought with you to encourage and empower you to think about student leadership in a different capacity. Soon, the President's Leadership Council will be releasing a booklet containing a picture of every student that is a part of the council, as well as their involvement. And I challenge you to look at it critically. What themes do you see? How many students are leaders in Black Student Union? How many students are leaders from Juntos? How many student leaders are a part of Asian organizations on campus? Even more though, where are the students that are on political groups? And is Greek life actually represented? Who is a part of National Pan-Hellenic Council? Who is a part of Diversified Greek Council? But then notice what you do see represented. Office of Student Involvement Agencies, Student Government Association, Orientation Team, the Honors College, UCF Housing, Student Union, Lead Scholars. Are these experiences actually more valuable than the organizations I just questioned you about? I cannot thank you enough for listening to me speak about this today. I know it was a lot, so please take time to process this. But I am happy and I'm glad to say I do believe in this administration. I do believe in the power of us telling you our story. I do believe in UCF and the future that is yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angelo. Give everybody a second, take a deep breath. I hope you do process everything that Angelo shared with us. I think we can all, I hope you feel supported in this space, Angelo, and see that everybody here really did hear you, and that at the end of the day, we do all share this superordinate goal to serve our students, right? That's what we're here to do as a university. And that as a university, we talk a lot about accessible higher education for people who want to pursue it, and that it's really important to hear the student voices and stories and think about those as we create the vision for what this looks like in the future. So I personally want to thank you for such thoughtful and meaningful words to share with everybody today. I think it's also, oh, Margaret, are you at the mic? Great, we'll start there.
Hey, good morning. My name is Jose Rivera. I'm the former president and founder of the Puerto Rican Student Association. For me, it's a pleasure to be here representing mostly Puerto Rican students and Hispanic students. First of all, I want to congratulate President Whittaker and the rest of his new leadership of UCF, and thanks the search committee for the amazing job you guys are doing. We believe in the future of UCF, and we're super excited as the Hispanic committee here at UCF of learning from our new leadership and seeing the amazing challenges that we're moving forward, that we're overcoming as an institution and promoting diversity and inclusion. So just a matter of reflection, and I would appreciate feedback afterwards. I want to reiterate a few points that I think are relevant. First of all, I want to thank President Whittaker and his leadership for creating, and Dr. Fernando Rivera for creating the Puerto Rico Research Hub. This is truly part of our innovation here at UCF, and we're directly responding to changes in our community outside of UCF that we constantly see changing our diversity here at UCF. And also, thank you for tweeting about the hub. We appreciate that very much, and also the committee does. So thank you, President. Also, I wanted to talk about how amazingly proud we feel about these changes of becoming a Hispanic serving institution. We're very, very aware, and we're very active as the Hispanic students here. We actually created Juntos, which is the Latino Leadership Council, which is just a unity of different RSOs, registered student organizations, and other Hispanic student leaders here at UCF. And we want to thank Dr. Muñiz for her amazing job and for leading the way for us. And we do expect that everyone here keeps supporting Hispanic Serving Institution, because we believe that is truly the future that it's going to lead the way. And lastly, but not least important, we want to thank also for the creation of the new vice president position, the reason why we're primarily here discussing, and we just want to emphasize on some numbers. I'm an economics student, so that's kind of what I lean upon. UCF, it makes available the information for now of 2017, 2018, and we reached, that 25% of Hispanic students here, the second largest ethnic group at UCF. And so it's about 17,000 students. And so that's a number I want just, for everyone here to hear and to be aware that we're the second largest student ethnic group here at UCF. And so we do have expectations. We do have expectations of who's going to take the leadership position. And we do believe, as different representation within the leadership, that we do deserve at least, a leader which actually represents us, and that is a model for us to lead. So we believe that, it should be highly considered, the fact that it should be a Hispanic person, but more than that, a person that understands diversity and inclusion. So thank you very much, and I will appreciate your feedback.
My panel to see if anybody's jumping to respond. Thank you so much for that feedback. I think it's an incredibly important student perspective for us to remember. Hispanic serving institution status is really important to me as an individual. It's an important part of why I want to continue to serve my community and students here at UCF, and I know that everyone on the search committee is also committed to that, and we do have Cynthia's incredible voice all the time, at least in my head, leading us forward for that. Any other members of the search committee want to respond?
Jose Luis, muchas gracias. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your leadership as well. And so, most definitely, the search committee, we will do our very best, and that's why we're here today, is to take in all of this information. We're listening, and we're going to have our debrief and incorporate all the feedback that we received today as we move forward. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Okay, Margaret.
Thank you.
Bring it on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As a recent graduate of the LEP program in 2017-18, I was fortunate enough to work on my project. And my project specifically focused on USPS employees. And within that group of employees, I drilled down further and started to look at wages and educational opportunities. And here at UCF, we do have the tuition waiver if you can meet the standards to be able to have access to it. But we have a large population of our fellow employees who may not have access, who may not have the education to even access the tuition waivers, which is one of our benefits here at UCF. So in the spirit of inclusion, I'd like to speak about this problem, I see as a problem. Over 50% of our USPS employees earn under $35,000 a year. So we need to take into account their ability to be able to pay for tuition outside of UCF. Of the categories, employment categories for USPS employees, there are over 240. 195 require a high school diploma and experience. 37 require an associate's degree and experience. And 8 job descriptions require a 9th grade education and experience. And my question is, as an organization, what are we going to be looking for to support the educational or professional development of the USPS employees within this group? And one more thing, those people that fall under $35,000 a year are also the highest group of minorities. So the study that I did, I found was very, very interesting, and I'm really trying to get some answers and push forward opportunities for our entire UCF community. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret, for that really important reminder of what our entire community is made of, right? That we don't get distracted by our own positionalities and work that we're doing, but that this campus runs on the work of a lot of people that we don't see every day. And we should absolutely be including that as part of this conversation. And I'm biased. I think Margaret's study was cool, and I think it's a good thing to have that data, right? And I hope that we continue to have that conversation, and we'll be looking to you, Margaret, for that help. We have an online question or over? I can't. Doing a bad job at seeing the mics. Giovanna, yes.
Representing the faculty's voice as well. One of the things that would help our future vice president would also to have a strong contract. Currently, for all faculty in the room and also the bargaining unit people, we are currently under contract negotiations, so there are ways to strengthen it so they could help our new vice president to say things like, you cannot discriminate against X, Y, and Z. Currently, like we would like to add in the non-discrimination article, there's a lot of categories in there, but we would like to add parental status, pregnancy, and also victims of domestic violence. And that's in a lot of other contracts as well, in other universities, so it wouldn't be unusual to do that. So that would help them as well. So that's my first thing as well. Like, pay attention to the contract, because we got to make it stronger for our future vice president. And the second thing too is when we talk about diversity or inclusion, to also remember religion. I know everyone's talking about color and of course race and gender, but there's also religion. Like for instance, currently, no one's going to, the Jewish holidays are coming up. So there's Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot, which requires actually like full day of atonement. You're not supposed to stay home. You're not even supposed to wear, they say leather, but it's actually you're not supposed to wear shoes. And one of the things that currently, like for myself, is I have to take a sick day to take a religious holiday, which I always feel, I don't know, it always gives me a bad taste. So, to be aware that there's not just, diversity also includes religious holidays. And I know we also have in UCF, and I know this because my rabbi told me, we have the largest Jewish population, which is also equal to the largest Muslim population in the country. So I know Hispanic serving is important, but also we have a lot of religious diversity right here. And I think yesterday I saw one of the it's one of the Hindu holidays, I think, and they were putting together the flowers over there. So yeah, so to include that in all of this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Giovanna. Again, another really important comment about the intersectionality of all of the different positions that we have here, right? That there is a lot more to diversity than some of the things that we tend to have the conversations about. And I think that that's something we will definitely take to the search. And certainly a lot of people, again, I'm gonna keep pointing out people in the room who do this work because I think it's important, because we do have Karen Morrison here from Office of Diversity and Inclusion, who's our Chief Diversity Officer. We do have Kent Butler, who's our Faculty Excellence Fellow for Inclusive Excellence. We have Nancy Myers, who runs our Office of Institutional Equity. These are really important offices and spaces on campus that are contributing to the overall work of this, and they're doing a lot of work that a lot of us don't see on a daily basis too, so I did want to give them my shout out. Thank you. I think now over here? Yeah, okay, proceed. Oh, sorry, did you have something?
Quite a few online questions that are coming in, so online viewers, I'm trying to get through them. This is actually a joint question between Kathleen and Emily, and it's a question of how are we defining diversity within these efforts, and how are we defining equity, and so what does equity look like in higher education? So I want to let you all ponder on that for a second, and then there was also an online, a virtual standing ovation for Angelo. So I'd like to point that out. And then a comment that was received, if you'd like to comment on this as well and answering the defining diversity and equity questions and what equity looks like in higher education. The comment is, I would like to have a voice as a custodial employee and a Spanish-speaking employee. In my department, I am told that I am not allowed to speak up, and I was told I did not have this right. We work very hard, and we deserve more money. We need to fight for every penny. So that's from some of our viewers.
Thank you. Thank you for those of you participating online. I think I skipped over Candace. Wanted to respond to something quickly while maybe we think of our thoughts about defining equity for everyone.
One of the things I wanted to really take time to mention is that I appreciate everyone who is here and feels comfortable to speak their truth, whether it's a race, LGBTQ+, disability, religious. I really appreciate it, and this is one of the things that I'm going to take with me in the search committee to really impress upon the new VP that this has to be a forefront. Because I don't know how many people are here, but we are not the majority of the faculty and the staff and the students who sit here. And this is not just a one-time discussion. It has to be a movement, it has to be visible, and it has to be something that moves the needle of the community of UCF, that we all feel safe. I've lost my words, but I just want you to know that I want you to feel open to share with us, the committee, the people who are sitting here, and your fellow students how your truth is and what your truth is. And thank you for sharing that with us today.
Yes. Thanks, Candace. Does anybody want to respond to how we should define equity here on campus?
I'll just say most of the definition is going to come from people who are represented here today. I think it's a collective definition that comes from the group. And so just to echo some of the other comments that have been made, when we think about diversity, and as I shared earlier, this idea that inclusion should be a part of diversity, if you look at the definition, the idea is that diversity should be a forethought, not an afterthought. And the reason why I became or accepted the invitation to be a part of this work is because I feel like for UCF, and we've had many of these moments in the last few years, but I really feel like what we're doing right now can be another watershed moment for this university. And just engaging in this conversation in a space where folks feel comfortable, feel supported to be able to have it, to be able to identify what we're doing well that we can celebrate and what we're also challenging ourselves to do is really important to me. And so, as my colleagues have already shared with you, faculty, staff, students, to my custodians who I try to speak broken English to, or Spanish to when they come on to work, they become a part of this conversation in ways that they might not have ever imagined. And so I would encourage us, as we think about, as the student said, we are not bound by tradition, we're actually buoyed by innovation. And so if we really are going to be the model, we have to engage everyone in the conversation. And that is the true essence of diversity. So we can't, as a committee or as one singular group, define what diversity is. It has to be a collective conversation. And I think having this kind of forum to allow us to hear from you, to talk about it, to discuss, to hear the hard sides of it is really important for us as we move forward. And again, I can't say it enough. I think it really has the opportunity to be a watershed moment. And obviously, the people that we'll be looking at in terms of candidates will have to understand, and we will make sure they are aware of the importance of this road to this university and what it can mean for us moving forward.
Thank you, Malcolm. Who's keeping me honest about who's in line here? Was it Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry, if I can jump in there for the person who asked that question online for the custodial worker, and I'll say this in español, I'll say this in Spanish to her, to him, to they. Muchas gracias por tus palabras. Sé que es difícil, estamos aquí para apoyarte. Muchas gracias por tener las... somebody help me out with bravery. Las arañas, muchas gracias. ¿Cómo es?
Lots of help.
Agallas, muchas gracias. Let me start again. Muchas gracias por tener las agallas, por hacer ese comentario. Muchas gracias por eso. Te escuchamos y vamos a hacer lo que podamos para que te sientas más cómodo, más cómoda en el trabajo y para que te respeten. What I shared there was as far as that we hear her, him, they, we hear them, and that we simply must do better. But that's what we're here to do, right? That's what we're here to do. Is we often have these conversations, and of course we talk about our students, our faculty, our staff, our alumni, our community partners. Let's not forget those that every day impact everything that we do. Okay, who are making our university look great on the inside and on the outside. Sweeping our floors, cleaning our bathrooms, our landscape, that is hard work. That is hard work. So I want to thank you. Muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. Sí.
Was me now, please. We need more money.
Sounds like you need a union.
Disney World is on $50 by hour, so we are very low. I got 1,400 by month, so I can live. I am very poor. I work very hard. I am very proud to be part of UCF custodial department. I love my job. I am exemplary, custodial. I think I deserve more than I have. So another co-worker as well. So everybody need more because we are very poor. So every day they are raising in my department the money. We need to fight for every penny. So 2% is nothing. $4 by week I got the last year. So we don't have bonus at all. So we need more money, please.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Por las agallas.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you, Cynthia, and everybody participating. I think we are back over to Mike now.
Yeah, yes, there I am. All right. Hi, I'm Mike Armato. I'm in the Department of Sociology. I'm an active member of our faculty union, United Faculty of Florida. I'm a member of the Pride Faculty Staff Alliance. I do other things too. I'm a graduate of the University of Central Florida, and this is going to matter in a minute. I graduated in 1992, so I'm dating myself. And I've always been amazed because I've moved multiple times throughout my life, and the fundraising people find me. Who among us has not been asked to give money to UCF? So that prompted me, in preparation for this meeting, to jump online The Ignite campaign, there was an article from this summer by UCF Advancement. We had reached this milestone of $400 million. And by next year, we're going to $500 million. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. That's monopoly money. To my mind, that seems impossible. And what I want to do is propose the impossible in terms of thinking of diversity. What if we set the goal, since now we're on the cusp of being a majority minority serving institution, to have a majority of our faculty and staff and administrators be people of color and queer people and people with disabilities? What if, because if you're in departments, you've been visited by the fundraising people every year and been compelled to listen every year and receive tons of emails every semester. What if we put that kind of energy into producing diversity and set very clear goals as we do for fundraising? And I guess if I want to pose a question, what is being done in terms of our budgeting process? What is being done in terms of our strategic planning to implement commitments to an array of, kind of diverse faculty, staff, and students and governing bodies across our strategic plan, across our budgeting? And I'd like us to seriously consider that, while not tiring out, as Angelo kind of eloquently pointed out, our black and brown and queer colleagues who end up being tokens on these committees and just get ground into the ground. And as a white person, I'm committing to taking notes and being secretary and just shutting up and listening at meetings to do my part in those kind of activities. And I would enlist my other kind of privileged colleagues to do the same. All right, I know I've packed a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's a big question. It's a good question. I also want to point out, I really appreciate your final comment there as a representation of what allyship can be. It's action, right? Being an ally is what we do. It's not a title we give ourselves. So I really appreciate that example. I don't know if anyone feels compelled or informed enough to speak to that.
Just taking copious notes.
Great.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Lots and lots of notes. This is recorded. I'm sure Malcolm and I will watch this quite a few times to make sure we have all of these important perspectives. Yes.
I will say this in response to Mike's comment. I know we've said it in small conversations, but I think it needs to be said on a broad level, that when you're talking about having a university that is majority underrepresented, and there's only a few people that they can speak to help mentor them or guide them through academia, into career, et cetera, whatever their paths are, it is tiring. And so we need to create a space where we can find more people that are dedicated to helping the students at this university that look like them. Because most students who are not white or male, that's what we are, that are not white or male or both, when they see people who look like them, they recognize, like, I can do that too. I can be there. I can do exactly what they want to do. And then they reach out to those people to say, how did you do it? And if they get that inspiration, then they become an inspiration to the next phase. And then now you have an exponential mentorship throughout the years. And so I think it is important that people find people in places of higher levels that look like them and can speak to them and can relate to them and can say, yeah, I've been the only black person on an all-white committee. So I get it. And I will make sure that the new VP is aware that this is something that means a lot if we're going to become a minority underrepresented university.
Thank you, Candace. Lindsay, are you next?
I think I am. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Hi, I'm Lindsay Newberger, Associate Professor and Associate Director of the Nicholson School of Communication and Media. And I have a question for maybe you all, maybe the search committee, maybe this gentleman behind me. It's very exciting. I know we're all really excited about centering this as we move forward for the university. But my really kind of quick question is, what is the rationale behind advancing a vice president position, which I assume is a very high profile, maybe high position, over having more people closer to our students, staff, and faculty who can assist them with these things? Candace made a really big point about this, and I'm just going to kind of dovetail there, that maybe we need more people instead of hire people. So I just kind of would hope that we think through that and understand that one person cannot solve all of our problems, and we're going to need a lot of support for that person. So it's a question and a suggestion.
Thank you. Important question and important suggestion that I'm sure we'll have lots of conversations with President Whittaker about. All right, am I back over here for a question? Yes.
Buenos días. Voy a pedir por favor si la doctora Muniz me puede traducir si es necesario. Mi nombre es Judith Cardona. Soy estudiante del Colegio de Educación.
Un momentito. So this is Judith Cardona. She's with the College of Community Innovation and Education. Got it. Thank you. Okay.
Soy la orgullosa madre de 3 hijos.
I am a proud mother of 2 children.
3
children.
Community translation. I love it.
Uno de ellos exalumno de UCF.
One of them is a UCF student.
Mi hijo del medio que se acaba de graduar de Florida State University.
Her middle son just graduated from ¿de dónde? Florida State University. You got that piece, right? Florida State University. Uh-huh.
Y mi hija, que es la menor, y acaba de comenzar la semana pasada en Rollins College.
And a daughter who started at Rollins College just last week.
So, como una madre soltera,
as a single mom,
las estadísticas dicen que es muy poco posible.
The statistics will say that it's not very likely
que niños que han sido criados en pobreza sin la presencia de un padre,
that children that are raised in poverty in the absence of a father figure,
y con una madre que ahora se llama first generation student,
and with a mom who is a first generation student herself,
se me hace bastante difícil estar aquí de pie hoy.
It's very difficult for her to be standing here today.
Pero le doy gracias por la oportunidad de permitirme salir de debajo de esa canasta que hace referencia al principal, el presidente, para poder expresarme.
And she's very grateful for the opportunity that she has to be with us today. Y la oportunidad que te brinda el presidente. Eso fue.
Y la oportunidad de salir debajo de la basket que hacía referencia al presidente.
And to emerge from within the basket que dijo el presidente.
Okay.
¿Verdad? For that the president, with this opportunity that she has today to basically to emerge, to move up and move forward.
So I'm going to try to ask a question in English. So help me out. How can we make sure that inclusion is served on an everyday basis despite of age and ethnicity? In other words, what steps should a student who is not receiving the same opportunities as others go about it? What should the next step be to that student to take, even when the chair of the department agrees that there's some resistance or possible discrimination? ¿Cómo es posible que en una universidad que promete diversidad e igualdad a todos los estudiantes, esto esté pasando ahora mismo? Eso es lo que we are. Esa es la pregunta que ustedes están exponiendo esta mañana. Who we are. Y eso me preocupa, porque eso es precisamente lo que yo estoy experimentando en mi último año a punto de graduarme. donde otros estudiantes sí han tenido oportunidad de hacer su práctica en escuelas donde son pagados para que no pierdan su trabajo, porque tienen una familia que mantener, ya sea porque son madres solteras, al igual que lo soy yo. Se me está discriminando por esa posición social de la que se hablaba anteriormente. Se me está discriminando porque tal vez a los 47 años uno no debe estar en la universidad. Ya perdiste tu tiempo, se te acabó. O por mi nacionalidad. Los dejo con una pregunta y espero que me den respuestas. How true are you to yourself?
La pregunta que quiero traducir bien, entonces básicamente, y has dicho mucho, muchas gracias. No hay que pedir perdón para eso. ¿Tú sientes que te están discriminando porque eres madre soltera, por tu edad y por tu nacionalidad? ¿Es correcto?
Sí, yo he ido y he seguido todo el chain of command. Okay. He ido al Ombuds Office, aquí está Shreya, que me ha visto ahí. Okay. He ido a hablar con profesores, con administradores, todo hasta el chair. Ayer mismo el chair me dice, that's what it looks like. I'm quoting him. When I told him that I feel I'm being discriminated because we got our role that the students that were placed are not supposed to get paid and continue to work in their jobs. So I had to give up my job. But there are other students who have been able to keep their jobs and get paid while doing their clinical placement for their seminars. I know of that. I've submitted proof to the college. And right now in the roster, there is someone who's listed who's still keeping their job and getting paid. Why is it that I'm not being given the same opportunity when UCF is known as a college of opportunity?
Okay. So I think that with what she just said now, you have a better understanding of just of what she's expressing. Basically, to summarize very, very quickly and simply, she feels that she's being discriminated against and does not have access to other opportunities that other students have in her particular department or program. And she feels that she's being discriminated against because she's a single mom, because she is of her age, and because of her nationality or ethnic background. And so that is what she's expressing with us today, and you got a little bit of what she shared in English as well.
And if you were to come into my classroom today, we have a class and it's only 20 students that are in a row. Only 20 students will make it after taking GKT, professional tests, ed, and keeping the GPA to stay in that program. Barely anybody who was taking classes with me in the night, because I have been part-time so far. This is my only year that I'm required to be full-time. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna make it. You will not see barely anybody who was in night classes with me, but the ones that did make it are the young people. There's nobody my age in my class right now. And when I asked most of the students, how come I never saw you on this program? Because those 20 spots were guaranteed only for those people who would make it. They're like, oh, we used to take daytime classes. So what happened to everybody who I met in the night classes, except for maybe 3 or so of them, but especially the ones that I could relate that were also mothers who had to attend night school because they were having a job Monday through Friday during the day. I have been a VPK teacher for 10 years. I have my CDA, and I do not need a bachelor's degree to continue to do what I'm most passionate about, to teach little children how to read and write, even with my accent, but they'll learn. My grandmother was illiterate, and I'm passionate about making a difference in the world, but I feel that I'm being pressed down. But I was very discouraged yesterday after seeing the chair, and I told him, I really still feel that I'm being discriminated. And he told me himself, that's what it looks like.
Thank you so much for sharing that really personal story. Thank you. These kinds of narratives are critical for us to spend time on it and to really listen. And please stick around and talk to some of us up here afterward if you would like. I do have to be a little bit of a clock here. So we're past 11. And I love that many of you are not inching toward the door. That's wonderful. This is such an engaging time with so many really important comments, especially from our students, to really talk about what access looks like. I know that we're able to stick around for a few more minutes here and answer questions. I just did want to let you know that it is 11, past 11 if you need to sneak out. And we will have some members of the search committee still here after the session ends. I also want to remind everybody who's viewing to check out the Qualtrics form to give us any feedback from online. That'll also be on the website for anybody who maybe still needs time to process some of this and think about it and wants to provide a thoughtful response later. Where am I at in my line of mics?
Dr. Sandoval, very quickly, I'm sorry. I do want to acknowledge that what you just experienced here in that dialogue, the importance of translation is something that we, of course, continue to drill down on as far as how we offer the opportunity for people to express themselves in the language that they feel best. So it is much harder than it appears. So I appreciate my colleagues. I know there was a little giggling. That's okay, right? But it's very difficult. And I want to bring it back to the point that was made as far as faculty and staff being asked to serve in these kinds of roles. So that is just something that I have made a note of as far as translation services for all of our communities, right? Because we are, in fact, our aspirations, a global university, a global partner. And yes, we may start with Spanish, but the goal is to scale and to move forward in other languages as well.
Yes.
All right. Hey, everybody. I have class, so I'm going to make this fast, but... But before I say this, and before everybody jumps on me and says, oh, there's a place on campus for that, please listen to what I'm actually saying, because many of you are going to understand this. The first thing I realized when I was a freshman, I'm a junior now, is college, yes, I understand UCF cares about me, I understand cares, but college is a business. No different from Walmart, no different from Target. The truth of the matter is, colleges and universities have to make money. That's fair, I get that, make the paper. But there's a difference between a broke college student, which we all are or were at some point, and being broke and a college student. Because I'm finding myself that I want to be a doctor, but I can't afford to be a doctor. Yes, you can say, oh, financial aid, but my parents make too much money where that I can't get those things. But now, when life changes, I have siblings who have medical issues, have to pay for that. The money's not there. I have to borrow from the loans, and that's fine, but what happens after we graduate? Because when it comes to money on this campus, what I've noticed, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but we're focusing on getting us here, great, you got here, getting us through college, getting the degree, but what happens afterwards? I can't pay these loans when I'm gone. That's a shit ton of money that I can't afford. My parents can't afford that. And I know there's so many of you out here who are looking at going, holy crap, how am I gonna afford next semester? How am I gonna afford these classes? And the easy answer could be, get a cheaper major. Can you do that? Are we telling our students to, if you can't afford your dreams, sell out and get a smaller dream? You say, oh, go to Valencia. What if I can't go to Valencia? What if I don't have a way to live over there? I don't know how Valencia works, so if I'm wrong, correct me. But the point I'm trying to get at is this. How is this university handling money? Because I could go into how the SGA is not dwindling money down towards not just the black orgs, but the smaller orgs in general. Greek life, sure, they make a ton of money. The kids pay all that money to have friends. That's whatever. But I'm sorry, I'm biased. Don't look at me. But no. No, but seriously though, how is this university handling money? Because it's cool to, be diverse and be included, but if we can't be here, how can we be included? If we can't afford to stay here, how can we be included? Because you say, oh, fill out scholarships, but The thing is, though, these scholarships are there, and every student will say, yeah, if you were lucky enough to get a scholarship, that's great for you. But the ones who don't, the majority who don't, to us, if we don't get it, the shit doesn't exist. It's not there. And you can say, oh, get a job. But you know what, though? As you get hired, whether it's art, biomed, anything, college gets hard. Life gets hard. So, yeah, we have to work. That's expected work, being college, stuff like that. But then what happens if you have to work to afford to stay in school, but that is consequating the fact that you cannot stay in school? What if to work to stay in school, you're working so many hours, you can't afford to take your classes? Because it's great to have SARC, SI, all that stuff here, but if you don't have the time to even focus on class, you're worried about, oh my God, I can't afford to live here. Oh my God, I can't afford housing. I can't afford my apartment. If that's your concern, if you have to be an adult, like a grown adult with bills and dogs and a picket fence while you're 20, how is that helping us live our dreams? Because I've heard all these answers from, oh, if you have financial issues, go to UCF Cares. That's great and all, but what if your problems are too big for UCF Cares to handle? What if your problems are too big for these organizations to handle? What do you do then to those students? Because me, I can't afford to be here. Only with God above am I able to stay here right now. That's the only way I can be here. Where the money coming from? Hell if I know. Hell if my parents know. And that's the truth. And so many kids feel that way. And you say, oh, come and talk to us. Well, but what if you can't talk to them? What if I don't feel comfortable coming to you and talking about my problems because I don't feel you care about me? What if I feel that I'm just one of the 60, however many thousand students, and I'm just a number file, you kind of get done meeting with me, shake my hand, smile, push me out the door, boom, file sits down, and you have a whole desk. You have one lady who has millions of other files to take care of. How do I know that you're going to give me the attention that I need? And you can say, yeah, well, do have a whole department at your disposal. But is it at my disposal, or is that just things you say to me to make me feel better? Because you say we treat you like you're a student, but how is it possible when we're all just a huge number? I have to get to class and worried about how I can afford this class, how I'm going to be here next semester, how I'm going to graduate, how I'm going to do all that. But before, I understand there's a lot of diversity issues, a lot of issues we have to work on with race, gender, sexuality, all that stuff, and that's great. And I don't mean to be insensitive, but right now, my biggest concern is not how I fit in on this campus, it's how I can be on the campus. That's it.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to be a professor and tell you to get to class, but we hear you, and it's a really important story. It's an important point you made there, so thank you. Again, over here. I think I have here, and then here, and then here. There's a difference between moderating a conversation and looking at microphones. I found where I'm not skilled.
Good morning. My name is Rich Lapchick, and I'm with the Institute for Diversity and Ethics in Sport and the Institute for Sport and Social Justice. We use sport as a platform to address various social justice issues. And first, I want to thank President Whittaker for on his first day saying his first priority is diversity and inclusion. I don't think I've heard another president say that as their very first statement. And I think it sets the tone for his administration and what we're doing here today in trying to select this new vice president. I've been doing this work for something like 55 years, and I've seen the issue of inclusion change, who's defined in that. We had everybody talking about who's represented on the panel. We had somebody from the audience talk about including religion. And I think one group we really need to include today in this climate, in this country, is immigrants and refugees. They are maybe subsumed under some of our other categories, but I speak on about 25 college campuses a year, and on every campus I get students coming up to me and administrators coming up to me, the students saying, I can't go home because I'm afraid I won't be able to come back. My parents can never come to see my graduation. There are students on this campus and other campuses around the country who fear that they're not going to be able to complete their education, not just because they can't afford it, but because this current administration is so hostile to immigrants. So I hope that we will include that in the future as part of this discussion. Thank you.
Great. We got time for like 2 more questions here.
Yes,
Andre.
I made the cut. Andrea Sneed, Recreational Wellness Center Coordinator. How's everyone doing? All right, that was good. We're still here. So I want to address what Mike, Candace, and Lindsay so eloquently talked about in the recruitment of fantastic faculty and staff from underrepresented populations. However, I want to take it to the next level. Dr. Whittaker, whoever this new VP is, I urge you to talk about how we're going to retain those individuals. We talk so much about recruit, recruit, recruit. Yes, we're recruiting these fantastic faculty and staff, but when they have a revolving door of these students that look like them that come into these doors, yes, it's draining, and then how are we going to retain those individuals?
Thank you. I really appreciate that question. I think as somebody who's been doing this work for a minute, I always try to say we can't start with recruitment. We have to start with being a place that's truly welcoming, a place of belonging, and a place that has support once you get here so that you don't want to leave, right? And so I appreciate that thought a lot. All right, over here to my left.
Hi, thank you everyone that's still here. My name is Autumn Wright. I'm a third-year student at UCF, and I'm also a transgender student. As a transgender person, I'm a part of a marginalized community in the state of Florida, in the United States of America, and in every country on this planet. While I feel safer here than anywhere else in the world, that's a privilege. But I still have to figure out how to go to the bathroom and make it to class in time because they're spread out and put on the outskirts of our campus. I am burdened with teaching my professors my identity and how to address me, and I often have to send them resources from other schools because they are not required to be competent in transgender and LGBT identities. Sorry. While I applaud diversity initiatives, as a transgender person, I also face dangers from hearing every voice blindly. Trans-exclusionary and cisnormative views are part of the community on this campus. Whether it's from supporting politicians that would rather have me converted or, sorry. There are voices on this campus that would rather me not be here, that would rather the administrators and staff and faculty that have made it to their positions not be heard. There are far-right groups here that would rather dox professors and put them on blacklists and protest them and try to get them removed for being controversial. It is not enough that we be inclusive, but I also want us to be anti-colonial, anti-racist, and anti-cisnormative. I want to ask the search committee specifically to not find someone that you like, who will not fit in at UCF, and who does not like UCF as it is. You are picking someone who will fight you and every department on this campus, who will fight Dale Whittaker, who will fight everything about UCF, who will fight tradition. So please, I ask that you find someone who will not fit in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for really your commitment to being here, your commitment to staying here past time, and your commitment to engage in these difficult topics, right? And to work with us to move into that space of discomfort. I think we've heard a lot of really important stories. I'm a qualitative researcher. I am biased for stories, right? Numbers change minds, but stories change hearts. And I think that that's a really critical part of what we're doing here, is to not just have data, but to have actual lived experiences that are playing out in our mind while we think about this and while we think about whether this space needs to be more radicalized in some ways, right? So I really appreciate your time, your thought, your consideration of each other, right? This has really been a wonderful model of dialogue and listening. And I hope that people who are watching us in your classrooms and your offices will also take time to respond online. If you didn't get a chance to share your thoughts or questions, please reach out to the members of the committee. If you're on the search committee, can you raise your hand one more time so people can see? So you can reach out to those people. You can reach out to myself and Malcolm, certainly. And we'll continue to have these conversations throughout this semester while we're looking to bring somebody who can do this important work. Thank you, President Whittaker. I think you're going to close us out. And then, nope.
All I would say is thank you. Thank you for your authenticity, your voice, and that we are we. We are in this together. There is no they. We've got a great and bright future for everybody ahead of us.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.